Morning.
You ready? Okay.
Good to see you.
See ya. Good. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the yearly meeting of the Rehoboth Beach Independent Audit Committee. And I'd like to call the roll first. Jim Little. I'm Jay Legree, and the third member is Bill Pearlstein, and he's not here this morning. I'd like to introduce Bert Dukes, who is our Chief Financial Officer of Rehoboth Beach, soon to be coming to an end.
Right.
And you are, sir?
Yes, I am Jeff Kowalczyk, a partner with Barbicane Thornton and Company, the independent auditor for the city.
And Joe Manfrey, partner with Barbicane Thornton and Company, auditor for the city.
Do we have minutes from last year's meeting, or are we going on the recorded transcript of that? I don't remember you having taken any minutes, Bert.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jay. I guess somebody will have to take minutes for this meeting. It's obviously recorded, but do you want me to do that, or what's the appropriate
No,
thing?
I can take them from the transcript.
Okay, thank you.
And at this point, I'd like to turn the meeting over to the members of the Barbicane Thornton Audit Company and hear their presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Joe, I'm going to let you.
Yeah. So thank you for having us all here today. I'll just get right into it. So I'm going to be naming out, I think you have copies in front of you. I'll just name out the page numbers of the report because obviously my page numbers are different since I'm looking at, a web version. But so we'll start off with the independent auditor's report, and we did issue the city an unmodified opinion over the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and aggregate remaining fund information for the year ended March 31st, 2025. And we conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and standards applicable to financial audits contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. Going on to page 2, things that I always like to mention, really just the responsibilities of management over the financial statements and then also auditors over the financial statements. So ultimately, the city's management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, and that includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls relevant to that preparation and presentation of the financial statements. Our objective as auditors is to give reasonable assurance, which is a high level of assurance, that the statements are free from material misstatement, whether that is due to fraud or error. In our profession, reasonable assurance is the highest level we can give, as we cannot give absolute assurance, as we do not go through every single transaction that the city may go into in a given year. I always like to go over how the audit's kind of performed. So we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit process. We identify areas that we deem have greater risk, and whether that's due to fraud or error, and we design our audit procedures in response to those risks. We obtain an understanding of the internal controls that the city holds. We make sure that they are designed appropriately and they're operating effectively, and that they are appropriate for the size of the city. And that's just cash flows in and out, whether that is due receipts, disbursements, or payroll. Then on a cyclical basis, we'll go like a deep dive into one of those transaction cycles in a given year, and we'll pick a larger sample and really dive in and make sure that they are operating effectively and everything that the city says that they're doing from an internal control standpoint is being done and is operating. We evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies that the city may hold, and we make sure that they're reasonable. And then ultimately, we conclude the city's ability to continue on an ongoing basis. Moving into page 3 of the independent auditor's report, you might see an emphasis of matter paragraph. This was due to the city's adoption of GASB 101, which changed compensated absences structure for the year. So without getting too into the weeds here, essentially, pre-GASB 101, effectively you had just whatever was the liability for sick and vacation was picked up just based off a given year. Now you kind of have to do like a lookout to see how much time someone will use and earn over the life of their employment with the city. So really, we just use the weighted average approach of past employees to come up with those numbers. And this did not actually, this was a standard that did have to be looked back to see if we had to restate prior numbers. Management did ultimately conclude that adjustment was immaterial. So we did not restate beginning balances. We just floated through the current year activity. Moving into page 5 through 18, that is management's discussion and analysis. This does say unaudited, as we are not able to audit the why, which is kind of, talked about throughout this. We can only audit the numbers. However, we do look over these numbers to make sure and verify that they are accurate and, they match the financial statements.
Just a couple of questions.
Yeah.
What were the nature of, how many audit adjustments and what was the nature of the audit adjustments?
Yeah, so our audit adjustments, every year, we always have the same few, and it's really related to GASB 68 and 75 adjustments, which relate to the OPEB and the net pension liabilities. That they're actuarially driven, so we get those reports around the time that the audit starts. So we just always prepare those entries. I believe this year we did have one additional entry for retainage related to some construction projects. So I think that was around 400,000, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in all cases, it's not operational adjustments. It's not miscodings or misreportings. It's additional information that's not available till after year end that we assist the city by truing up the adjustments when that information's available during the audit period.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so jumping down to page 19, this is your statement of net position at the entity-wide level. So this is where you'll see your capital assets and your long-term debts on your balance sheet. Just wanted to go over some figures here. So, you did have a decent increase in your your total assets and deferred outflows of resources, coming in at about $177.3 million for the year. And this was really heavily reliant on two factors. Your cash and investments did increase, coming in at $53.7 million, and your construction in progress within the city came in just shy of $14.5 million. Some of the reasons for the cash increases we'll kind of get into later when we look at the fund level information. And one other thing I wanted to point out, you did have an increase of your total liabilities coming in at $76.7 million, but this was heavily reliant on additional draws on notes and bonds payable. And that was both at the governmental level as well as the business type activities level. Jumping down to page 23, so this is where I wanted to go over your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances. So the general fund did see an increase of about $6.7 million from 2024 to 2025. But this is really based off two factors. Your revenues did anticipate an increase, which it did beat the budgeted projections by a few $100,000, but you did have proceeds of long-term debt of 5.5 million that were mostly unspent at end of year. So that was why, you see $6.7 million of an increase. So a lot of that bond money will be spent, in 2026.
Yes, I believe that was the Beach Patrol building renovation project.
Yeah. All right. And then moving down into page 26, which is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for your proprietary funds, which are the water and sewer funds. They did both see positive changes in net position of 2.5 million for the water fund and 1.7 million for the sewer fund. And this was heavily based off of operating revenues beating anticipated budgets. So you had just shy of 5 million in charges for services at the water fund and 6.7 for the sewer fund. There were also favorable increases in your investment income for the year. I believe your investment income was up roughly 200,000 for those funds as well. All right. Moving into the notes to the financial statements, just a few things I wanted to point out. In all, the notes to the financial statements remained fairly unchanged. The only change that was required with GASB 101 was now to disclose that compensated absences changes are reported at net. There was no additional disclosures in terms of when you saw the changes for 68 and 75 where it added pages and pages of disclosures related to the pensions and OPEB liabilities. There was nothing to report for GASB 101.
One other question.
Yeah.
Do any of the FASB changes affect the GASB? I.e.
No.
No.
No, except for the fact that once one of the boards comes up with something, the other board kind of goes, ooh, maybe we should look at that.
Yeah.
So it does, but usually on a delay.
Yeah.
Like the lease
The
capitalization?
lease was, so that lease, standard 87, FASB, adopted it first. GASB's was delayed by COVID, so it was supposed to be adopted just like a year or two after, right, Jeff?
Yeah, about
I think it was like a year or two after, but because of COVID, it ended up being like 3 or 4 years after. But yeah, so it's always kind of just on a delay.
It does seem right now that the GASB board's focus is on what makes governments unique, because they've been working a lot on the reporting model for governments. So right now we're seeing not necessarily a divergence, but a GASB focusing on what's special about governments. And then if FASB does something that needs to be sort of piggybacked into GASB, they'll tack it on somewhere. But really their focus is on what's unique, what do outside stakeholders need to know about governments to make decisions.
All right, and then just wanted to go over a few other things here. So note O, which is on page 52, this is just your excess of expenditures over appropriation. So essentially, any of your expenditures that were over budget for the year. Just always like to point that out. Capital outlays came in the largest increase of 510,000.
I just found page 52. Would you start over?
Okay, yeah, sorry. So note O is the excess of expenditures over appropriations. So essentially that's any of your expenditures that had a negative variance, in terms of your budget to actual. So looking at your final budget to your actual results, you have a number of categories, 9 or 10, that were, over budget, and capital outlays was the highest at 510,000. And then I just wanted to go over, obviously, as you probably know already, the city, anytime they spend over 750,000 in federal awards, you are required to have a compliance audit over your federal dollars spent. This year, which has been pretty much the same for the last few years now, that single audit was related to the capitalization grants for clean water state revolving funds. So that is the one loan that you took that was it's federally funded loan. So I believe you spent 3 million this year related to that loan, and we are issuing an unmodified opinion on that loan as well, on the compliance surrounding that award. So we are issuing an unmodified opinion for the single audit as well. And as of March 31st, 2025, that loan's balance is 44.5 million. At this point, I would just open it up to any questions that you had about the report or our audit procedures themselves.
Yeah, and while you're thinking of questions, speaking of the federal award and tying it back to where we talked about this year, the sewer fund coming in ahead of budget and having a surplus for the year, that is the intention is as the principal repayments pick up on this loan that you're going to need the resources, and that's why even though this was a year where net position increased, the long-term view is that the rates are tied into the need to start repaying this debt as it becomes due. And I guess where Joe talked about certain areas of the budget being overexpended, we should note there's a line at the bottom that highlights that overall the budget was underexpended by about 115,000. Obviously, throughout the year, as needs come up, the city evaluates whether resources from one area can be utilized to help meet needs in other areas while staying within the commissioner-approved budget. And they did do that this year.
We've been having this discussion for a long time.
I did have a question about the prepaid expenses. It seemed like a huge growth from 2024. You had 475 for 25, and you had 21K for 24.
Jim, I suspect that is related to prepaid insurance. But I'd have to look into it more to
can
tell
pull it
you
up
for
right now.
sure.
Relating to
it's-
the work in
it's-
the contract or?
What was that? Oh, so he-
Well, you know,
Yeah, it's all insurance.
I have to research that to really give you a breakdown, but
benefits
what I
insurance.
will do is I'll analyze that and tell you what was in that prepaid insurance, prepaid expenses. And, but off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for you.
So Joe did take a look. It does look like it all is prepaid insurance, that the timing of certain elements, especially, what's the last one? The benefits insurance, the April benefits insurance was paid like March 30th.
Yeah.
So that was a big chunk of the difference. And then the rest is the various other insurances. Nice find, Joe.
Good job.
You guys used to have a list of adjustments that accompanied the report. And
Yep, Bert started making them before we did the audit. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that is, if you look back to where we were a number of years ago versus where we are now, one of the biggest change, obviously with the city, there's been a number of changes.
Yes.
But with your finance department is the growth in the skill set and the proactiveness
course.
about year-end adjustments and being audit ready.
Yes.
Because I know we're sitting here in December, but as you know, we've been working for like 2 months to find a date to actually hold the meeting, because we performed our audit in June and July. The first draft was sent to management in August. We got the rep letter and issued around October 10th, and we've just been working on finding that. So that proactiveness and that being ready has been one of the wonderful and important, I think, changes that we've seen over the years.
Our charter says September 15th, and it's kind of
Yeah.
a little bit behind the times.
Pretty good with it.
You ready to go?
Yep.
I don't have additional questions.
All right.
Awesome.
In that case, we just thank you for having us out. It's always a pleasure to see you both, to work with the city, and to be able to deliver good news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need to vote to recommend?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
In favor of recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we have a quorum, and
Recommending that the commissioners accept the Audit Committee's recommendation to approve the audit.
Right.
now that we have accepted the presentation and the recommendations and had discussion, now we need to go on to the 2026 audit and make a decision there. Thank you very much.
Sounds great.
Hope to see you in 2026.
Likewise.
Have a feeling you'll perform.
We certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi to Pam.
Will do, absolutely.
Have a good holiday and a great 2026.
In prior years, what we've done is had the city manager put together a list of possible bidders and the request for proposals. Will you be doing that again this time? You did last time also. And I guess that needs to be decided upon by the commissioners before the end of the fiscal year.
Well, doesn't the Audit Committee select the auditors? Isn't that their job?
Good morning. I'll have to check the charter language specifically to see who, I guess, recommends appointment of the auditors.
It just says we have the power and the duty to hire outside accountants and clerks
Sure.
to perform the audit if we so choose.
Right.
And that, the rest of that, I don't think it's ever been put in writing. What we did was every 4 or 5 years, we would have a request for proposals to see which company could go on. Sure. And last time, Barbicane and Thornton was low by a significant margin, as I remember.
Right.
Because they're used to doing it. Right. They know what's going on. They know how much they're going to have to allocate for time.
Yes, absolutely. That's something we can take a look at. As you mentioned, we've done it in the past, so there's no
Yes.
issue with us doing that again.
Yeah. I'd have to go back over the minutes when it was presented 5 years ago, but I think that the list of the respondents was in the minutes of the Board of Commissioners.
Great.
And they decide on the money, and then they voted on the approval, and I think then Sharon or Bert went out and sent the notices out and hired them.
We advertised, and we had about 5 or 6 responses.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Yep. Yeah, we can certainly do that again.
Would you like to do that again?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's do it. Thank you.
Agreeable?
Agreeable.
Questions and answers from the general public? We Have none. And as we voted a moment ago, we recommended that the report be accepted, and we will present that to the Board of Commissioners with our approval. And are there any other questions? You got anything to talk about? I have something to say. And when I first came on the Audit Committee back 20 years ago, we had pages of adjusting entries that accompanied the report. And the first year I was on it, I think it was Hardy and Hardy. And then the next year it was Barbicane and Thornton. And we didn't have a chief financial officer. We didn't have an assistant. We didn't have anything, except we had clerks keeping the books of the city of Rehoboth Beach. And the auditors would come in and get everything straightened out. And I can't remember if it was Pam Baker. I can't remember who it was, but this was, hell, I can't remember, 2004, 5, somewhere in 6. And Pam Baker said, we're just auditing our own document. This is not right. And so we talked to the mayor, and the city manager was Greg Faris, and he said, well, we need to get some help. And Bert was a software provider or something. What were you doing back in 2006 or 7?
We provided the city's software for about 10 years. And so they needed some assistance with that, but more importantly, they needed assistance with getting the books closed. And at that time, Sarbanes-Oxley was discussed and widely, and that really kind of made all entities, be responsible for preparing their books and to get the auditors out of the bookkeeping end. As Pam said, you don't want her auditing their work. So years ago, I mean, that was a standard practice. I mean, I don't know, Jim, whether you recall, but I remember we did a town when I was working with a CPA firm, and we did an awful lot of work for them that was bookkeeping related. But I think that's changed now, and I think Rehoboth, as well as I think many other towns all over the country, they've probably upped their standards a little bit and made things better.
And then I think Sharon discovered that you were working for free or something like that.
Well, originally I just came in and to help out the ladies in the office, and I wanted to be sure that everybody was comfortable if I was going to be working for them, so I didn't charge for a while. And I think we reached a comfort level, and it was a great team of people to work with. They were very competent in preparing their journals. It's really what they needed. They needed help with preparing the financial statements. And, so there wasn't a lack of competency or dedication. They were very good at what they were doing. They just needed a little more help. And so we worked together, and I was a part-time external controller for about, I guess, up until 2018, from about 2008 to 18. And then Sharon wanted a full-time accountant, and so I arrived, and it's been a real pleasure to work with the city and all the people that I've had a pleasure working with.
Have they hired your successor, or do you?
We have a new person, CPA. She has government experience. She worked in Wicomico County. References were excellent. I think that you'll be in excellent shape. She's local, so there's no moving required or significant moving, because she's currently working in the Rehoboth area right now. And so she'll start on December 15th, and I'm going to be assisting with the transition. And I told her, I said, I don't charge for phone calls, so, call anytime. So I think you'll be in good shape.
Well, I think I speak for the entire Audit Committee, and I want to say thank you for everything you've done for a long time, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. We thank you a lot.
Thanks. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
I echo the sentiment. This is my 4th or 5th time going through this, and I feel very comfortable with what I'm reading and seeing that it's highest integrity.
Yeah, well, thanks.
And we hope we'll continue getting the awards that you've been accumulating these last few years.
Well, I think we're going to take that even to another level, because there's an award for budget preparation that we've been getting for 5 years. And there are several other awards that we can apply for. And with Jennifer Goodman has joined us about a year ago. And I think between the new finance director and Jennifer, I think we'll be able to, receive some more awards, for the Government Finance Officers Association issues these awards. And the one that I think we're looking at is one for the excellence in financial reporting. And so it's just a matter of applying for it. And they provide a set of criteria that you have to make. So I think that'll be good for a city. And the city of Rehoboth, really, we in Ocean View, I think, we're the only southern Delaware towns to receive the budget award for the past year. So it's good.
Well, we're in pretty good company then. If there's nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting and thank everybody for all the work that they've done, and hope that we continue with the good luck that we've had these past few years.